Tonight, as you settle into a comfortable position and feel your body begin to release the weight of the day, I invite you to drift with me into the quiet, ancient world of the forest, a place where every leaf, every root, every whisper of wind carries a story. Forest ecosystems are often described as vibrant, complex, and full of life, but when viewed through a softer lens, they reveal something deeper, an atmosphere of calm cooperation, slow rhythms, and gentle connections that pulse beneath the surface of the earth. Imagine yourself at the edge of a vast woodland, the sun dipping low as evening settles in. The air is cool but comforting, filled with the scent of moss, damp soil, and the faint sweetness of pine. As twilight deepens, the forest transforms into a sanctuary of soft sounds, distant insects singing their dusk melodies, leaves rustling with the slightest breeze, and the quiet echo of life moving with unhurried intention. Here, in this peaceful green world, every organism plays its part in a harmonious system of growth, decay, renewal, and balance. You might picture the forest canopy stretching far overhead, woven from countless branches that cradle the sky. Beneath it, smaller trees, ferns, and delicate understory plants layer themselves like gentle whispers. Somewhere below your feet, roots intertwine silently, exchanging nutrients, water, and information through an unseen network older than civilization itself. Even the air feels alive, soft, cool, and slow, moving through the forest like a quiet breath. Tonight, this serene landscape becomes your guide into rest. We will explore the hidden interactions that make forests thrive, not with urgency or detail you must remember, but with a soothing sense of wonder. Let the forest unfold in your imagination like a slow dusk settling over the trees. Let its gentle science help your thoughts grow lighter, your breath deeper, and your mind closer to sleep. Forest ecosystems are living tapestries, intricate, interconnected, and quietly pulsing with natural intelligence. Though we often imagine forests as simply clusters of trees, they are much more: vast networks of life forms exchanging energy, nutrients, and signals through soil, air, and light. When observed slowly and softly, forests reveal themselves as some of the calmest, most balanced environments on Earth. In tonight's exploration, we'll walk gently through the science behind these ecosystems. You'll learn how trees communicate underground using networks of fungi, how ancient forests regulate temperature and moisture, how fallen leaves become nourishment for new generations, and how animals, plants, microbes, and even the soil itself cooperate to maintain harmony. We will explore these facts without haste, allowing each one to drift past like a soft breeze moving through the trees. You will discover how roots share resources with their neighbors, how mosses and lichens craft their own miniature worlds, how the forest canopy filters sunlight into gentle gradients of color, and how even the smallest organisms, from beetles to bacteria, play essential roles in sustaining the forest's quiet balance. Together, these elements form a system of astonishing complexity, but tonight we will experience it through stillness, observing its rhythms with peaceful curiosity. As we journey through these chapters, you are not expected to hold on to every detail. This is not a lecture, it is an experience. Let the words settle in your mind like falling leaves, light and effortless. Let your breath match the slow cadence of the forest. Let the facts become soft companions that guide you gently towards sleep, each one a stepping stone on a path to deep rest. By the time we complete this walk, you may find yourself drifting into dreams, carried by the calm of ancient trees and the softness of forest air. That's exactly how this exploration is meant to feel: natural, soothing, and deeply restful. When you step into a forest, whether in reality or in the soft landscape of your imagination, you are entering one of Earth's most intricate and harmonious structures. Forests may appear natural and unplanned, but they are built on quiet patterns, steady rhythms, and delicate layers that have evolved over millions of years. This architecture is not created by human hands, but by air, water, sunlight, time, and the gentle cooperation of countless organisms living together in balance. Tonight, we will explore the structure of the forest slowly, with calm curiosity, as though wandering through a peaceful, ancient cathedral shaped by nature itself. The first layer you encounter is the canopy, the towering ceiling formed by the crowns of the tallest trees. These trees stretch their branches wide, catching sunlight that filters through their leaves in soft, shifting patterns. The canopy is the forest's primary interface with the sky, capturing energy from the sun and transforming it into life. This layer hums quietly with activity: birds gliding between branches, insects moving among leaves, and the wind weaving gentle currents of air through the treetops. But from below, the canopy appears tranquil, like a living roof that breathes in slow motion. Beneath this ceiling lies the understory, a world of smaller trees, young saplings, and shade-loving shrubs that thrive in the filtered light. Plants here are patient, growing slowly, adapting to the gentle dimness beneath the canopy. Their leaves are often larger and broader, designed to catch every available ray of light. Mosses, ferns, and delicate herbaceous plants fill the spaces between them, creating a soft green tapestry across the forest floor. This layer feels quieter than the canopy above, as though shielded by the protective presence of taller trees. Moving downward, you reach the forest floor, a gentle mosaic of fallen leaves, twigs, and soft soil. This layer is far more dynamic than it appears. Every leaf that falls begins a slow journey of transformation, broken down by fungi, insects, bacteria, and many other tiny organisms working together. Over time, these materials dissolve into nutrients that feed the trees, forming a cycle of decay and renewal that keeps the forest alive. The floor feels calm, with its muted colors and earthy scent, but beneath the surface, it is quietly bustling with life. Just below your feet lies one of the most remarkable parts of the forest architecture: the root system. Roots extend outward in elaborate networks, anchoring the trees and gathering water and minerals from the soil. But roots are not solitary structures. They often intertwine with the roots of neighboring trees, forming hidden connections that allow them to share resources. As you imagine walking on soft ground, remember that beneath every step is a world of branching pathways, weaving like gentle patterns in the dark soil. Linked to this root system is something even more astonishing: the mycorrhizal network, a vast web of fungal threads that stretches through the soil like delicate strands of silk. These threads, called hyphae, form partnerships with tree roots, enhancing their ability to absorb nutrients and water. In return, trees provide the fungi with sugars produced through photosynthesis. This cooperation, quiet and unseen, has operated for hundreds of millions of years. Scientists sometimes call this underground network the Wood Wide Web because it allows trees to exchange information and resources. A well established tree can send nutrients to a younger tree that is struggling in deep shade. Trees of the same species often support one another, sharing what they have so that the forest as a whole remains stable. Even trees of different species may cooperate, connected through shared fungal networks. All of this happens silently, beneath the surface, shaping the forest's stability with a gentle touch. Above the roots, the forest's architecture also includes decomposition layers, which form slowly as organic material breaks down. These layers act as natural storage systems, holding moisture and nutrients. Many small creatures, including beetles, worms, spiders, and centipedes, live within these layers, contributing to the soft churn of the soil. Their movements create tiny tunnels that allow water and air to circulate, supporting the health of the entire ecosystem. The forest's architecture extends upward as well. The canopy interacts with sunlight, temperature, and wind patterns, forming microclimates that vary from one branch to the next. Birds build nests in the higher branches, choosing spots that offer protection from predators. Epiphytes, plants that grow on other plants, settle into nooks on older trees, capturing moisture from the air and sunlight that reaches the canopy. These living additions become part of the structural tapestry of the forest, adding beauty and complexity to its upper layers. Even the light in a forest is layered. Sunlight filters through leaves in gentle gradients, bright in some places, dim in others, creating shifting mosaics of shadow and color. This filtered light shapes the behavior of plants, guiding them toward openings where they can grow. It also influences animals, providing hiding spots, feeding grounds, and safe routes for travel. The interplay of light and shadow is one of the forest's most soothing qualities, always moving, always changing, always soft. As you imagine this architecture, picture yourself walking slowly along a forest path. You may hear twigs snapping underfoot, leaves rustling overhead, and the gentle hum of insects hidden among the plants. The forest is alive, but its movements are never rushed. Each part of the ecosystem moves at its own pace, roots growing millimeter by millimeter, fungi expanding through the soil in silent strands, trees adjusting their branches gradually over decades. Everything unfolds with patience. Over time, the forest's architecture changes. A tree falls during a storm, creating an opening in the canopy. Sunlight reaches the forest floor, warming the soil and encouraging new growth. Young saplings stretch upward, competing gently for space. The fallen tree slowly decays, feeding fungus, insects, and microbes until it becomes part of the soil again. This continuous cycle ensures that the forest is always renewing itself. Even the sounds of a forest are part of its architecture. Wind moves through leaves in soft waves. Birds call to one another from branches high above. Streams trickle through mossy rocks. These sounds help animals navigate and communicate, creating an invisible acoustic structure that shapes the forest's daily rhythms. Though forests may seem chaotic at first glance, their architecture is deeply organized, built through millions of years of evolution, cooperation, and adaptation. Every element, from the tallest tree to the smallest grain of soil, plays a role. And because forests grow slowly, with movements measured in seasons rather than seconds, they embody a natural calmness that mirrors the gentle pace of tonight's exploration. As you picture these layers, the canopy above, the understory around you, the forest floor beneath your feet, and the hidden networks below the soil, you may feel the rhythm of the forest settling inside you, a feeling of structure without rigidity, complexity without confusion, life moving in quiet harmony. This architecture is not just a biological system, it is a sanctuary of stillness, balance, and peace. And tonight, as you continue this journey, it will guide you gently deeper into rest. To understand a forest, you must learn to understand trees, not as still silent pillars, but as living beings that move and grow at a pace far slower than our own. Their lives unfold over decades, centuries, and sometimes millennia. Their rhythms are gentle, their reactions are subtle, their intentions, if we can call them that, are patient and deliberate. In this chapter, we will explore the slow life of trees, letting their calm and unhurried pace guide us deeper into rest. Imagine standing before an old tree. Its trunk rises thick and steady, textured with patterns carved by time. Each ring of wood hidden inside marks a year of growth, a thin band of memory. Some rings are wider, made during years of plentiful rain and sunshine. Others are narrow, formed during colder seasons or droughts. A tree's trunk is not just wood, it is a long, layered record of life, season after season, written in silence. Trees grow upward toward the sun, but they do so slowly, a few centimeters a year, sometimes less. Their branches reach outward like gentle gestures, adjusting their shapes over time to capture the most light. This movement is so gradual, we never see it happen. Yet, if you could watch a time lapse of the tree's life, you would see its branches responding to storms, seasons, shadows, and space, like a slow dance performed in harmony with the surrounding forest. Leaves are among the tree's most delicate features, forming an expansive surface that captures sunlight and transforms it into energy through photosynthesis. Each leaf is a tiny factory, turning light, water, and carbon dioxide into sugars that feed the whole organism. But leaves are temporary. Trees release and renew them with every passing year, or in the case of evergreens, cycle them quietly over longer periods. When leaves fall, they become part of the forest floor, eventually feeding the tree once more in a gentle loop of return. Below the surface, a tree's roots expand outward much farther than the branches above. If you could see them, you might notice patterns resembling rivers or veins. Roots move through soil not by force, but by seeking open spaces, moisture, and nutrients. They grow slowly, branching and exploring in silence. Over time, these roots react to obstacles, curve around stones, reach deeper into the earth during droughts, and intertwine with roots of neighboring trees. Some tree species grow extraordinarily deep roots, tapping into underground water reserves. Others spread wide, anchoring themselves in shallow soils typical of rainforests or wetlands. Every root movement is purposeful, even if the pace is nearly imperceptible to us. Trees do not live alone. They exist as part of forest communities, sharing signals and nutrients through their root systems and through fungal networks. When a tree experiences stress, drought, injury, or disease, it may send chemical messages through these underground pathways. Neighboring trees respond by altering their own growth, adjusting their chemistry, or even sending nutrients to assist the struggling individual. These exchanges occur slowly but consistently, like letters passed between old friends. Inside the tree, a quiet river flows. Water is pulled upward from the soil through the trunk and into the leaves through a process called transpiration. This movement is graceful and continuous. Water molecules rise, pulled upward by evaporation from leaf surfaces and by the cohesion between molecules. In large trees, water can travel more than 100 feet in a single day, yet the movement is gentle, never rushed, never noisy. It is one of nature's quietest but most remarkable feats. As water rises, nutrients rise with it. Minerals absorbed from the soil, dissolved within the flow. These nutrients feed not just leaves, but every cell in the tree. In return, trees release oxygen into the air, offering the forest breath. If you inhale deeply, you are participating in the tree's rhythms. Its oxygen becomes your energy, and your carbon dioxide becomes part of its sustenance. Trees also communicate through the air. When leaves are damaged, for example, by herbivores, some species release chemical compounds that drift through the forest, signaling nearby trees to prepare defenses. Other airborne chemicals help attract insects that prey on the herbivores, creating a quiet, biological ripple of action and response. These exchanges happen above our senses, carried by the breeze, forming an invisible language of scent and survival. One of the most calming aspects of tree life is its resilience. Trees adapt not by reacting quickly, but by adjusting slowly over time. When storms break branches, new ones emerge. When lightning strikes, the trunk seals itself around the damaged tissue. When competition for light increases, trees slowly reshape their crowns to find new angles. Their patience is their strength. They do not rush, they endure. Many trees live far longer than humans. Some oaks survive for hundreds of years. Redwoods and sequoias may live for thousands. Bristlecone pines are among the oldest known living organisms on Earth, some exceeding 4,000 years in age. Imagine a being that has stood through countless storms, felt thousands of winters, and watched entire ecosystems shift around it, all in silence. Forests also contain young trees growing beneath the canopy, waiting quietly for a gap of sunlight. These saplings may persist in a deep shade for decades, growing only centimeters at a time, storing energy, and preparing patiently for the moment when a neighboring tree falls and light reaches the forest floor. Their restraint is remarkable. They do not compete aggressively. They wait, and when their moment arrives, they grow upward with quiet determination. The shapes trees take are not random. Every twist of a branch, every curve of the trunk, every spread of roots is shaped by environment, genetics, and time. Some species grow tall and straight, others spread wide and low. Wind guides their forms, slope and soil guide their stability, light guides their direction. Each tree carries within its body the long story of where it grew, how it grew, and what it endured. Notice also the bark, the protective skin of the tree. Bark varies widely: smooth, rough, flaky, furrowed, thick, thin. It guards against cold, insects, fire, and disease. On some species, bark peels naturally, creating patterns reminiscent of handmade art. On others, it insulates like soft armor. Bark grows slowly, layer by layer, thickening as the tree ages. Within the trunk lies the xylem and phloem, two miraculous systems that transport water and sugars. Every year, trees add a new ring of xylem, expanding their trunks slowly outward. This is why fallen logs reveal a pattern of concentric rings, each ring a quiet echo of a year lived, a memory etched in wood. Trees also shape the forest climate. They pull moisture from the ground and release it into the air, cooling the environment. They cast shadows that regulate forest temperature. Their leaves capture rainfall, slowing its fall to the ground and reducing erosion. Their roots stabilize soil. Everything about them contributes to calm. At night, forests become especially tranquil. Trees settle into their nighttime rhythms. Stomata close gently to conserve water. Growth processes shift within the trunk. The forest air cools and grows still. If you imagine yourself walking between tall trunks under a dim sky, you may feel the quiet presence of these ancient beings surrounding you, like guardians of the night. Understanding the slow life of trees teaches us to soften our own pace. Trees remind us that growth need not be rushed, that resilience comes from patience, and that stillness can be a source of strength. In their presence, real or imagined, your breath may slow, your thoughts may ease, and your mind may drift closer to sleep. And as we continue exploring forest ecosystems, let this awareness accompany you. Trees move slowly, but they move with purpose. Their pace is steady and grounding. Their lives extend far beyond our own, yet they stand beside us with gentle presence. In their quiet rhythms, we find a reflection of calm we can carry with us into rest. When you look at a forest, your eyes naturally rise toward the trunks, the leaves, the branches, and the shifting light above. Yet one of the most extraordinary parts of the ecosystem lies below your feet, hidden beneath layers of soil, roots, and softly decaying leaves. This world, unseen and often unnoticed, holds more life, more communication, and more cooperation than most people ever imagine. Tonight, we explore this invisible web, the underground network that allows forests to breathe, grow, and thrive in complete harmony. Imagine the soil beneath the forest floor as a vast, living tapestry. At first glance, soil may seem lifeless, but in reality, it is one of the richest ecosystems on Earth. Each handful contains billions of microorganisms, tiny fragments of decaying leaves, particles of minerals, microscopic fungi, and networks of roots stretching in every direction. The soil is not just a foundation for the trees, it is a bustling, interconnected world, quietly shaping every part of the forest. The most astonishing component of this unseen world is the mycorrhizal network, a delicate web of fungal filaments that weave through the soil like strands of silk. These filaments, known as hyphae, are incredibly thin, often so small that you would need a microscope to see them. Yet despite their size, they form some of the largest organisms on Earth, stretching for kilometers beneath the forest. Through this network, fungi and trees form a partnership older than the forests themselves. This partnership is mutually beneficial. The fungi attach themselves to tree roots, extending their reach far beyond what the roots could achieve alone. In return for sugars from the tree, the fungi help gather water and essential nutrients, especially phosphorus and nitrogen, from the soil. This exchange happens constantly, and quietly, like two neighbors sharing resources through a hidden tunnel. If the tree receives more than it needs, it can even pass extra nutrients back into the network, where they may eventually reach other trees. Some scientists describe the mycorrhizal network as the forest's communication system, a wood wide web. Through this network, trees can send signals to one another. When a tree is stressed by drought, pests, or lack of nutrients, it can release chemical messages into the network. Nearby trees respond, adjusting their own metabolism or sending nutrients toward the distressed tree. This is not communication in the human sense, but a biological interaction driven by chemistry, evolved over millions of years. It is cooperation at its most ancient and most elegant, but the fungal network is only one part of the underground world. Roots themselves form an expansive system. Imagine roots stretching outward, branching and intertwining, forming shapes reminiscent of rivers flowing beneath the surface. The roots of neighboring trees often overlap, sometimes even grafting together. Through these grafts, trees may share water and nutrients directly. It is as if the forest has decided that its strength lies not in competition, but in unity. Roots also shape the soil physically. As they grow, they push through layers of earth, creating pathways for air and water. These tunnels become homes for insects, worms, and small organisms. The presence of roots stabilizes the soil, preventing erosion and helping the forest floor remain soft and absorbent. Each root movement is slow and deliberate, gently transforming the ground in ways that support the entire ecosystem. Above and around the roots live countless tiny creatures, microbes, bacteria, nematodes, arthropods, and fungi of many varieties. Though most are invisible to the naked eye, their combined activity produces the nutrients that keep forests alive. Bacteria break down organic matter into simple compounds. Fungi decompose fallen wood and leaves, returning carbon to the soil. Worms churn the earth, creating channels that allow oxygen to flow. Every tiny movement adds to the forest's quiet heartbeat. Decomposition is one of the most essential processes happening beneath your feet. When a leaf falls from the canopy, it begins a journey that may last months or years. First, it dries and becomes brittle. Then, small insects and fungi break it into smaller pieces. Over time, the leaf dissolves into organic matter that blends with the soil. This process forms humus, a dark, nutrient rich layer that feeds the trees and helps the soil retain moisture. Humus acts like a sponge, holding water after rain and releasing it slowly during dry periods. In this way, the forest floor quietly regulates the ecosystem's hydration. Another hidden aspect of the soil is its role in storing carbon. Forests absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and store it in wood, leaves, roots, and soil. Much of this stored carbon remains underground for decades or centuries, locked in organic matter. This process helps regulate the global climate. Forest soil, especially old growth soil, is one of the most important carbon reservoirs on the planet. Yet it performs this role without sound or movement, only through the slow, steady work of decomposition and growth. Some forests contain massive underground fungal organisms. The largest known fungus, a species called Armillaria, spans nearly 9 kilometers beneath a forest in Oregon. Though we cannot see it, this organism influences the entire ecosystem, connecting countless trees through its network. Its presence is quiet, ancient, and pervasive. Standing above such a system is like standing on the edge of something vast and mysterious, yet perfectly gentle. The underground world is also home to seasonal rhythms. In spring, roots absorb water eagerly as snow melts and rains return. Fungal networks expand rapidly, feeding off fresh organic material. By summer, the soil grows warm and teems with small creatures. In autumn, falling leaves create a new layer of organic matter. Winter slows the activity, but life never stops. Roots and fungi continue their exchanges at a slower pace, waiting for warmth to return. As you imagine walking through a forest, picture the ground beneath you as more than soil. Picture it as a living web, a soft layer of earth supported by millions of organisms, each contributing to the forest's health. The ground you step on is alive with communication, growth, and transformation, all unfolding quietly beneath the surface. This invisible world mirrors calmness. It moves slowly, without urgency. It transforms everything gently, from fallen leaves to nutrients that rise again through roots. The forest thrives, not through speed, but through patience and cooperation. And when we understand this underground architecture, we begin to see the forest not just as a collection of trees, but as a connected universe, pulsing with soft energy. As we leave this hidden layer behind and climb back into the forest's visible world, let its softness settle into your thoughts. The soil beneath you is steady, supportive, and alive. Everything it does is quiet, persistent, and balanced. Allow this awareness to guide your breath, slow your mind, and bring you deeper into rest. When you stand in the heart of a forest and look around slowly, you begin to realize that a forest is not a single place, but a world built in layers. Each layer has its own light, its own temperature, its own rhythm, and its own community of life. These layers do not compete, they flow together, supporting each other like the quiet tears of a natural sanctuary. Tonight, we explore these layers one by one, moving gently from the highest branch to the softest leaf resting on the forest floor. At the very top lies the emergent layer. This layer is home to the tallest trees, the giants that rise above the rest of the canopy. Their branches reach high into the sky, capturing sunlight long before it filters down to the layers below. In many forests, emergent trees are rare, just a few spread widely apart, each growing straight and tall through decades of slow, determined upward reach. Their crowns sway softly with the wind, absorbing the first light of dawn and the last glow of sunset. Birds of prey, gliding insects, and certain species of bats visit this layer, moving effortlessly in the open air above the forest's protective roof. From this height, the world feels open, bright, and wide. Just below it rests the canopy, often called the living ceiling of the forest. This is the most active and vibrant layer, teeming with life, yet still carrying the serenity of high branches and filtered light. The canopy is formed by the crowns of mature trees, woven together in an almost continuous blanket of leaves. Here, sunlight streams through in gentle, golden patterns. The temperature is slightly warmer than the layers below, and the air is filled with soft movement, the flutter of wings, the hum of insects, the rustling of leaves, responding to the slightest breeze. Many animals spend their entire lives in the canopy. Birds build nests in sturdy branches, Squirrels leap gracefully from tree to tree. Monkeys and other arboreal mammals navigate effortlessly through the maze of limbs. Countless species of insects live and feed among the leaves. Even plants join this high world. Epiphytes like orchids, mosses, and bromeliads attach themselves to branches, gathering moisture from the air, never touching the ground. The canopy is busy, but not chaotic. It is a gentle dance of life, elevated far above the forest floor. Descending further, we reach the understory, a realm of soft shadows and filtered light. Sunlight here is dim, arriving through layers of leaves above, diffused into blues and greens. The understory hosts smaller trees, saplings, shrubs, and shade-loving plants. Everything grows slowly and carefully, conserving energy and adapting to low-light conditions. Leaves in the understory tend to be large and thin, shaped to capture every available ray. The air feels cooler and stiller here, as though time moves slower. Animals that prefer quiet and camouflage thrive in this layer. Deer walk gently through the brush. Birds with muted colors nest among the branches. Insects blend with bark and leaves. The understory is a place of patience. Young trees wait for years or decades before rising into the canopy. The atmosphere is peaceful, hushed, and comforting, like a soft whisper beneath the forest's upper stories. Beneath the understory lies a delicate world called the shrub layer, though in some forests, this blends seamlessly with the understory itself. In this level, small bushes, ferns, and young saplings dominate. Many forest flowers bloom here, adding subtle colors to the green tapestry. Insects, small mammals, amphibians, and reptiles find shelter in these plants. This layer is intimate, close to the ground, close to the soil, close to the quiet processes happening at the forest floor. And finally, we arrive at the forest floor, the soft foundation of the ecosystem. This is where leaves settle, where fallen branches rest, where seeds land, and where every piece of organic matter begins its transformation back into the soil. The forest floor feels still, but beneath its surface, countless processes unfold. Insects crawl gently beneath leaf litter. Fungi break down wood and fallen foliage. Worms and beetles churn the soil. Microbes unseen to the eye convert organic matter into nutrients that sustain every layer above. Light here is limited, filtered heavily by the canopy and understory. The temperature is usually cool and consistent. The air smells of earth, moss, and the gentle sweetness of decay, a scent that signals renewal rather than endings. Many creatures depend on the forest floor for camouflage, nourishment, and shelter. Frogs hide beneath logs. Beetles navigate the shadows. Small mammals burrow into the soft soil. Each organism plays a role in maintaining the balance of this ecosystem. But the forest does not end at the soil's surface. Below the floor lies another essential layer, the root zone, where tree roots intertwine with mycorrhizal fungi. This is the foundation that supports the forest's architecture. It is the place where trees gather water and nutrients, where organisms interact constantly, and where the slow miracles of decomposition and renewal begin. It is the quiet heart of the forest, always working, always feeding life above. Each forest layer supports those above and below it. The emergent trees protect the canopy from harsh winds. The canopy regulates temperature and filters light for the understory. The understory offers shelter and stability for the shrub layer. The shrub layer contributes organic matter to the forest floor. The floor feeds the soil, and the soil, alive with microscopic life, sustains the roots that nourish the tallest trees. This vertical structure creates something extraordinary, a world where every part is connected, every organism plays a role, and every layer breathes in harmony with the others. The forest is not merely a collection of species, it is a layered sanctuary, each tier contributing to a balance that has lasted for millions of years. As you picture these layers, imagine yourself slowly walking through each one, rising through the canopy with warm, golden light, stepping into the cool shadows of the understory, feeling the soft earth beneath your feet on the forest floor, and sensing the deep, silent world beneath the soil, an invisible universe that keeps everything alive. Let the forest's architecture settle gently into your thoughts. Each layer is a reminder that even the most complex systems can exist in peaceful harmony. Even the busiest ecosystems can move with calm steadiness. Even the tallest trees rely on the softness of the soil, and all of it, together, creates a world designed to soothe the mind. In the forest, nothing is wasted. Every fallen leaf, every broken branch, every piece of drifting bark becomes part of a quiet, steady cycle that nourishes the ecosystem from the ground up. Decomposition may seem like an ending, but in the forest, it is one of the most life giving processes that exists. It unfolds slowly, invisibly, and with extraordinary delicacy. Tonight, we explore this hidden world of transformation, where death becomes life, where stillness becomes movement, and where the forest renews itself with patient, effortless grace. Imagine a single leaf, freshly fallen from a high canopy branch. It floats downward in a small spiral, carried by the gentlest breeze until it comes to rest on the forest floor. For a moment, it seems like nothing more will happen, but the leaf is already entering a new phase, becoming part of the quiet machinery of renewal that keeps the forest thriving. The first step is slow decay, beginning with the softening of the leaf's surface. Sunlight fades its color. Moisture from dew and rainfall sinks into its veins. The leaf becomes pliable, almost like damp paper. Soon, small creatures arrive, tiny insects, mites, springtails, and other microarthropods. They chew, scrape, and break the leaf into smaller pieces. Their movements are delicate, almost imperceptible. If you were to place your ear close to the forest floor, you wouldn't hear anything at all. Yet thousands of tiny motions are happening beneath the silence. As the leaf breaks down, fungi begin their work. Fungal spores land on the leaf surface, germinate, and begin extending their hyphae, thin, thread-like structures that weave into the leaf tissue. These hyphae release enzymes that dissolve complex molecules like lignin and cellulose into simpler forms the fungi can absorb. This process happens slowly but continuously, even at night, even in winter, even when the forest appears frozen and still. The fungi do not work alone. Bacteria living in the soil contribute to decomposition as well. They digest smaller particles left behind by insects and fungi, breaking them into mineral nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium. These nutrients dissolve in soil moisture and gradually become available to plant roots, beginning their journey upward into the forest's living layers. In this way, a fallen leaf becomes food for the next generation of growth. With time, the leaf loses its shape entirely, It becomes part of the soft, dark layer called humus, one of the forest's most important components. Humus acts like a sponge, absorbing water during rainfall and releasing it slowly during dry days. It improves soil structure, helping roots move easily through the earth. It holds nutrients, protects microorganisms, and supports the delicate balance of moisture essential for every plant in the ecosystem. Humus is the forest's quiet savings account, a reservoir of life stored beneath your feet. But decomposition is more than breaking down leaves. Fallen logs, branches, and entire trees undergo a similar transformation. When a tree falls, its trunk becomes a miniature world. Mosses cover the bark, insects burrow beneath its surface, and fungi create networks inside the wood. Over years or decades, the trunk becomes softer, spongier, and eventually blends into the soil. These nurse logs, as they are often called, provide nutrients and moisture to new seedlings growing on top of them. Many young trees in old growth forests begin life on the softened remains of fallen giants. In these moments, the forest shows us something profound. Even in decay, there is purpose. A fallen tree doesn't signify loss. It marks the beginning of dozens of new lives. It becomes shelter for salamanders and small mammals. It becomes food for beetles and fungi. It becomes a bridge of moisture and nutrients for seedlings. The slow return of wood to soil ensures the forest's long-term stability. Decomposition also shapes the atmosphere. The breakdown of organic matter releases small amounts of carbon dioxide, which plants later use for photosynthesis. In this way, forests maintain a quiet balance between carbon storage and release. Old forests store carbon in their trunks, soil, and roots, while new forests take in carbon rapidly through fast growth. Decomposition is part of this cycle, regulating the movement of carbon with soft precision. The forest floor itself is a living mosaic of decomposition at different stages. Some areas contain fresh leaf litter, crisp and colorful. Others hold damp, dark layers where leaves are almost unrecognizable. Beneath those layers lie older deposits, humus, roots, fungal threads, and mineral soil. The entire forest floor is like a timeline, each layer marking a different moment in the cycle of renewal. One of the most fascinating participants in decomposition is the earthworm. Earthworms move through the soil in quiet, rhythmic motions, aerating the earth and mixing organic matter into deeper layers. Their castings, small pellets of nutrient-rich soil, are essential to fertility. Although their presence is subtle, they have a tremendous impact on soil structure. A single earthworm can process its own weight in soil every day, contributing to the gentle churn that keeps the forest floor healthy. Other decomposers include termites, especially in tropical forests. Termites feed on dead wood, breaking it down into fine particles and enriching the soil. Their colonies create tunnels that allow air and water to flow. These tunnels also serve as pathways for other small creatures, increasing the complexity of the ecosystem beneath the surface. Millipedes, with their many legs moving in coordinated waves, quietly feed on decaying plant matter. As they move, they break leaves into smaller fragments, making decomposition easier for smaller organisms. Beetles, especially saproxylic species, live inside deadwood and contribute to its breakdown. The diversity of decomposers is astonishing, ranging from insects barely visible to the naked eye to fungi that form wide networks miles long. Every organism, no matter how small, plays a role in this quiet symphony. Together, they transform death into new beginnings, old into new, fallen into rising. And they do it with no hurry, no noise, no visible struggle, only with the slow magic of nature's balance. Decomposition is also tied to the forest's nutrient cycles. Nitrogen, once trapped in a leaf, is released into the soil and taken up by the roots of another plant. Carbon moves between atmosphere, leaf, soil, and root. Minerals travel through water, fungi, and root systems. This constant flow is subtle but essential, like a gentle tide that never fully stops. As you picture this process, let its softness settle into your thoughts. The forest thrives, not because everything stays alive forever, but because everything is constantly becoming something else. Every ending is simply a doorway to new growth. Every fallen leaf is a promise of future life. Tonight, the gentle work of decomposition can serve as a reminder that renewal happens slowly, quietly, and naturally. Nothing in the forest is rushed. Nothing is forced. Everything moves in its own time, following ancient rhythms shaped by patience and equilibrium. Let this understanding sink into your breathing. Let it soften your muscles. Let it ease your thoughts. You are lying within a universe where nothing is wasted, where everything returns gently to the earth, and where life continues through cycles of transformation. In the forest, even decay is beautiful. When daylight fades and the forest begins to dim, an entirely different world awakens beneath the canopy. The diurnal creatures that filled the daylight hours retreat into nests, burrows, and hollows, while nocturnal animals emerge quietly to claim the night. Yet even this shift is gentle, unfolding gradually as the light softens and the shadows lengthen. The forest at night is not a place of chaos. It is a slow symphony of movement, sound, and instinct. Tonight, we explore the nighttime rhythms of forest animals, discovering how they coexist with the gentle pulse of darkness. As twilight deepens, the first signs of nightlife begin with subtle stirrings. A soft flutter of wings signals the emergence of moths, drawn to faint beams of moonlight filtering through the trees. Their patterns are delicate, like powdered chalk brushed onto wings, designed not for show, but for blending perfectly into bark and leaves. Moths move in slow, wavering paths, drifting through the understory like floating petals. They play a crucial role in nighttime pollination, visiting flowers that bloom only after the sun has set. Nearby, the forest's diurnal birds settle into their roosts. You may hear the last calls of robins, finches, or songbirds fading into the distance as they tuck their heads beneath their wings. As silence grows, another sound begins to fill the air, the low, rhythmically spaced hoots of an owl. Owls embody the quiet precision of the nighttime forest. With soft feathers that muffle the sound of flight, they glide effortlessly between trees, scanning the ground with impeccable vision adapted for near darkness. Their presence is not threatening. It is calm, watchful, deeply connected to the landscape. Beneath the canopy, small mammals begin their nightly routines. Deer, moving with surprising quietness despite their size, emerge from hidden resting spots to graze on tender shoots and leaves. Their ears twitch constantly, listening for signs of danger, but their steps remain slow and measured. Their eyes reflect the faintest glimmers of moonlight, creating the impression of gentle lanterns moving between the trees. Foxes, with their sleek coats and graceful movements, weave through shrubs and brush with practiced elegance. Their nighttime behavior is guided by acute hearing and smell, allowing them to detect even the softest footstep of a small creature. Yet, even while hunting, foxes maintain a certain playfulness, pouncing, leaping, and sometimes chasing one another beneath the moonlight. They live in the spaces between shadows, comfortable in the cool air of the forest night. In the understory, creatures even smaller begin their delicate work. Mice and voles scurry beneath leaves, following familiar paths scent marked during earlier explorations. They gather seeds, nibble on bark, and carry bits of food back to burrows lined with plant fibers. Each movement is quick yet quiet, contributing subtly to seed dispersal and soil aeration. These tiny animals play an important role in the forest's regenerative cycles, spreading nutrients and helping new plants take root. Above them, bats begin to stir. Emerging from hollow trees or rocky crevices, they flutter into the night sky with a flickering grace. Their wings, thin and flexible, catch the air with soft taps and rustles. Bats navigate using echolocation, sending out tiny sound pulses and interpreting the echoes that bounce back. To human ears, these sounds are inaudible, but to bats, the night is full of information. They detect insects in mid flight, adjusting their movements with astonishing precision. In doing so, they help control insect populations and pollinate certain flowers, making them essential nighttime gardeners of the forest. One of the most enchanting creatures of the forest night is the firefly, also known as the lightning bug. As dusk deepens into darkness, tiny sparks begin to glow among the trees, soft pulses of bioluminescence drifting on warm air currents. Fireflies communicate through light, each species blinking in its own pattern. Their glow is not harsh, it is warm, gentle, and soothing, like nature's own constellation moving low to the ground. On summer nights, fireflies can transform whole sections of the forest into a quiet, flickering galaxy. In tropical forests, the night reveals even more extraordinary life. Tree frogs begin their chorus, filling the air with soft croaks and chirps that blend harmoniously with other nighttime sounds. Their bodies glisten in the humidity, and their toes adhere effortlessly to smooth leaves and bark. Frogs rely on the cooler, nighttime temperatures and moisture rich air, avoiding the harsh heat of daytime. Their calls create an atmosphere of calm repetition, like a natural lullaby. Nocturnal primates, such as lorises and lemurs, may emerge in some forests, moving slowly and deliberately through branches. Their large reflective eyes are adapted for low light vision, allowing them to navigate through dense foliage under only moonlight or starlight. Their behavior is cautious but purposeful, mirroring the slow, steady pulse of the nighttime forest. Many forest animals rely heavily on the cover of darkness for protection. Predators are fewer at night, and shadows offer natural camouflage. Some species avoid moonlit areas altogether, preferring the deeper darkness where they can move unnoticed. Others thrive under bright moonlight, using it to patrol their territory or search for food. Even insects have distinct nighttime rhythms. Crickets rub their wings together to produce soft, rhythmic chirps that echo through the forest. Each species has its own song, creating a layered soundscape that shifts subtly with temperature. Katydids produce delicate, almost whisper like vibrations. Beetles, particularly ground beetles, begin their nightly foraging. The combined movement of all these insects forms a gentle hum, a sound that blankets the forest in a soothing, constant texture. While many animals awaken at night, others enter a state of rest. Squirrels, nestled inside tree hollows or leafy nests, curl into tight circles as night deepens. Butterflies cling to the undersides of leaves, wings closed and still. Reptiles, having absorbed heat during the day, hide beneath logs or stones, conserving warmth through long, quiet hours. The forest night also changes the behavior of plants. Some flowers open only at night, releasing delicate fragrances that attract nocturnal pollinators. Certain species adjust their orientation to capture moonlight or starlight for minimal nighttime photosynthesis. Others close their leaves or petals to reduce moisture loss. These subtle movements, nearly imperceptible, contribute to the forest's overall rhythm. Temperature and humidity shift as well. The forest air grows cooler, condensing moisture into droplets that settle gently on leaves and moss. These droplets collect on spider webs, turning them into glistening nets suspended in darkness. The scent of the forest deepens, earthy, fresh, calming, carried on soft winds that flow slowly between trunks. One of the most soothing aspects of the nighttime forest is its soundscape. Without the bustle of daytime birds or the sharp sounds of day active insects, the nocturnal forest produces a quieter, more even pattern of sound. Owls call, insects hum, leaves gently rustle, water trickles softly in nearby streams. Each sound is spaced naturally, creating a rhythm that is calming rather than overwhelming. If the forest had a heartbeat, the nighttime soundscape would be its slow, steady pulse. Despite the activity of nocturnal creatures, the forest at night feels fundamentally peaceful. Movements are soft, sounds are gentle, light is minimal. The pace of life slows dramatically, creating a sense of stillness that mirrors the quiet settling of your own body as you prepare for sleep. As you picture these nighttime rhythms, gliding owls, glowing fireflies, soft footsteps of deer, and the distant hum of insects, let the calm of the forest seep into your thoughts. Let the softness of the night remind you that the world continues its cycles without rush. Everything moves gently, according to rhythms older than time. In this serene world, every creature has a place, every sound has a purpose, and every movement contributes to the quiet balance of the forest. And as you drift deeper into rest, know that the forest night holds you in its slow, steady embrace. Forests are often admired for their beauty, their tall trees, filtered sunlight, and calming presence. But beyond what we see and hear, forests perform gentle yet powerful work that shapes the very air we breathe, the water we drink, and the climate that surrounds us. These processes unfold slowly, quietly, and constantly. They are nature's soft, steady systems of balance. Tonight, we explore how forests regulate the world's atmosphere and climate, not with forceful energy, but with patient, harmonious rhythms. To begin, imagine standing in the center of a dense forest. Take a slow breath in. The air feels cool, clean, and slightly sweet. This sensation is no accident. Forests act as enormous natural filters, absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen through photosynthesis. Every tree, every leaf, every tiny piece of moss participates in this exchange. Together, they purify the air in a way that is as gentle as it is essential. During photosynthesis, trees draw in carbon dioxide, the same gas we exhale, and use it to create energy. In the process, they release oxygen. A single large tree can produce enough oxygen to sustain several humans for a day. A forest of thousands of trees creates a continuous flow of clean air. But forests also store carbon in their trunks, branches, roots, and soil. This storage, called carbon sequestration, helps moderate global temperatures instead of letting carbon dioxide accumulate in the atmosphere. Forests quietly lock much of it away for decades or centuries. But the air in a forest doesn't just feel fresh because of oxygen. Trees also release phytoncides, natural organic compounds that have subtle calming effects on the human body. These compounds help trees defend against insects and microbes. But when inhaled by humans, they can reduce stress, slow breathing, and promote relaxation. This is one reason why walking in a forest, or even imagining one, can feel deeply restorative. Forests also shape the air in another subtle way. Through evapotranspiration, the combined release of water vapor from leaves and soil. As trees pull water from the ground and release it through their leaves, they increase humidity in the surrounding air. This moisture cools the air, creating a natural, temperature regulating effect. In summer, forests act like enormous air conditioners, lowering temperatures in their surroundings without noise or machinery, just the soft movement of water and air. Evapotranspiration also helps form clouds. Moist air rises from the canopy, condenses in the atmosphere, and contributes to cloud formation. These clouds reflect sunlight, keeping the earth cool. Some clouds return their moisture to the forest as gentle rain, completing a cycle that sustains every part of the ecosystem. In many regions, forests create their own rainfall patterns, nurturing themselves and influencing weather far beyond their borders. As we shift our focus from air to water, the forest reveals another layer of quiet sophistication. Forests are natural guardians of freshwater systems. Rain falling on a forest doesn't rush across the land in violent floods. Instead, the forest canopy slows each raindrop. Leaves catch the water, let it slide down branches, drip from one leaf to another, and only then release it to the ground. This process, called interception, softens the impact of rainfall, protecting the soil from erosion. Once the water reaches the forest floor, the thick layer of leaves, moss, and humus absorbs it like a sponge. Much of this water seeps slowly into the ground, feeding underground aquifers. Some flows gently into streams, keeping their levels steady even during dry seasons. Forests act as natural reservoirs, storing and releasing water with quiet precision. Picture a clear forest stream moving over stones. Its water is cool, clean, and full of dissolved oxygen. This clarity is not accidental. Forest soils filter water as it moves downward, removing sediments and impurities. Tree roots anchor the soil firmly, preventing erosion. Fallen leaves enrich the water with soft nutrients. Every part of the forest works to ensure that streams, rivers, and lakes remain healthy. In this way, forests nourish freshwater ecosystems across entire landscapes. Forests also moderate extreme weather. By slowing wind, absorbing water, and regulating temperature, they create stable microclimates. In summer, forests remain cool and shaded. In winter, they retain warmth, layering the air with subtle pockets of stabilized temperature. This stability shelters wildlife and protects delicate plants that depend on gentle conditions. Across entire continents, forests help direct wind patterns and storm paths. The Amazon rainforest, for example, releases such large volumes of moisture into the atmosphere that it influences rainfall across South America and even other continents. The boreal forests of Canada and Siberia act as temperature buffers, slowing the warming of northern regions. Tropical forests near the equator drive global air circulation patterns through their constant release of heat and moisture. Even forest color plays a role. The deep greens of healthy forests absorb sunlight, while lighter patches of grasslands or deserts reflect it. Changes in forest cover shift the balance of reflected and absorbed heat, influencing the local and global temperatures. Yet forests manage this balance gently, not through sudden changes, but through the slow growth and shedding of leaves, the rise and fall of seasons, and the natural cycles of renewal. Forest canopies also play a quiet but important role in airflow. As wind moves across the land, the tall trees disrupt and slow it, reducing wind speeds near the ground. This protects small plants, seedlings, and animals that would otherwise face harsh gusts. The structure of the canopy breaks wind into smaller currents, creating a stable, buffered atmosphere within the forest interior. Even during storms, the canopy disperses energy, allowing the understory to remain relatively undisturbed. Another subtle service forests provide is temperature buffering. Air beneath the canopy rarely experiences the extreme highs and lows of open spaces. Leaves absorb sunlight during the day and release stored heat at night. Moist air cools the forest on hot days and limits frost on cold nights. This stable temperature environment allows delicate species, mosses, amphibians, seedlings, to thrive. As you explore these gentle processes in your mind, notice how they mirror calm breathing. Forests inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen. They draw water from the ground and release it as vapor. They cool and warm the air slowly, just as your breath slows and deepens as you drift towards sleep. Forests keep the earth in balance with the same soft rhythms that soothe your body at night. Forests teach us that the most powerful systems do not always move with force. They often move with patience. They shift climate not through violent action, but through millions of tiny exchanges. Roots absorbing moisture, leaves releasing oxygen, soil capturing carbon, air gathering vapors. These processes shape the world in ways we rarely notice, yet they sustain life on Earth. Tonight, as you rest, imagine the forest working beneath the surface of your thoughts, purifying the air, calming the climate, balancing water, and breathing in slow harmony. Let that natural steadiness mirror your own. In the quiet of the night, feel the soft, stabilizing presence of forests guiding your breath, easing your muscles, and slowing your mind. Forests do not remain the same throughout the year. They shift, breathe, and transform with the seasons in ways so gentle and cyclical that the changes feel almost like the forest's own version of sleep and awakening. Each season unwraps itself slowly, shaping the forest's colors, rhythms, sounds, and life. Tonight, we move through these transformations softly as if we were drifting through an entire year in a single peaceful journey. We begin in spring, the season of quiet renewal. At first, the change is subtle, barely noticeable. The forest floor, still cool from winter, begins to soften under gentle rains. Snow melts in northern regions, sending thin streams of water winding through roots and stones. The air grows slightly warmer each day, carrying with it the scent of wet earth and new beginnings. Buds form on the branches of trees, small, tight, and tender. These buds contain the leaves and flowers that will soon unfold, but for now, they remain wrapped like promises. The forest's palette begins to shift from muted browns and grays to soft greens and yellows. Ferns unfurl their fronds in slow spirals. Mosses grow plump and vibrant. Tiny wildflowers bloom briefly before the canopy thickens, taking advantage of the early spring light. Animals respond to this renewal with their own gentle awakenings. Birds return from migrations or emerge from sheltered spots, filling the forest with soft songs that drift between branches. Frogs begin to call near ponds and streams. Insects stir from dormancy, their wings catching the new warmth in the air. Everything feels light, fresh, and quietly hopeful. Spring in the forest invites gentle motion, not rushed or sudden, but steady and soft. It is a season that unfurls gradually, like the first long breath after rest. As spring deepens, the forest transitions into summer, the season of fullness. The canopy becomes lush and dense, forming a green ceiling that filters sunlight into soft golden pools on the forest floor. Warm air moves gently among the leaves, carrying the earthy scent of bark and the sweet aroma of flowering plants. The forest hums with life, but even this liveliness feels soothing and steady. Insects buzz softly in the understory. Bees move from flower to flower in patient patterns. Birds glide between branches, their calls echoing in warm waves. Some animals rest during the heat of midday, emerging only in the cool moments of dawn and dusk. The forest floor in summer feels warm to the touch, alive with subtle movements. Beetles exploring fallen logs, caterpillars inching along branches, butterflies drifting through patches of filtered sunlight. Streams run clear, shaded by overhanging leaves. The shadows deepen, forming cool shelters for deer, foxes, and countless small creatures seeking relief from the heat. Rainstorms in summer are soft and warm, soaking into the soil and feeding the roots. Each droplet that lands on a leaf creates a delicate patter, blending into a calming symphony of nature's slow rhythms. After the rain, the forest glows with moisture, every leaf catching beads of water that sparkle in the fading light. Summer is the forest at its most abundant, rich, stabilizing, full of energy, yet never chaotic. Its warmth is comforting, like a blanket of life, enveloping every tree and creature. Gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, summer begins to give way to autumn. This is the season of gentle transformation, where the forest shifts from growth to preparation. Days become cooler, nights grow longer. The first sign appears in the leaves, a faint yellow tint, a slight curling at the edges, a new crispness in the air. Then, slowly, the forest becomes a tapestry of warm colors. Greens fade into golds, oranges, reds, and deep purples. Each tree becomes its own canvas, painted by temperature, moisture, and the unique chemistry of its leaves. This transformation is not hurried. It unfolds leaf by leaf, branch by branch, until the entire forest glows with autumn's soft brilliance. Animals respond to the changing season with rhythms of gathering and storing. Squirrels collect acorns and seeds, hiding them in the soil or storing them in tree hollows. Birds prepare for migration or adjust their behaviors to the cooling climate. Insects burrow deeper or attach their eggs to sturdy leaves and bark, ready for the months ahead. The soundscape shifts in autumn. The hum of summer insects grows quieter. Leaves rustle more crisply in the wind. Acorns patter gently to the ground. Rain becomes cooler, falling with a silvery softness. The air thickens with earthy scents, fallen leaves, damp bark, and the first hints of winter stillness. Autumn is the forest's exhale, a peaceful release, a slow settling, a graceful transition toward rest. As the last leaves fall, making soft blankets on the forest floor, the year enters winter, the season of stillness. Winter does not silence the forest entirely. It simply slows every movement, lowers every sound, and encourages every being to conserve energy. Snow may cover the ground in some forests, muffling footsteps and absorbing sound until the entire world feels quiet. Branches hold frost or icicles, catching the faint winter sunlight in shimmering patterns. The air becomes cold and crisp, carrying the clean smell of frozen soil and evergreen needles. Many animals enter hibernation or reduced activity. Bears retreat to their dens, breathing slowly and steadily. Reptiles and amphibians bury themselves beneath leaf litter or mud, entering states of deep rest. Some birds remain, flitting through the icy air, with feathers fluffed for warmth. Insects hide beneath bark, stones, or soil, waiting for spring's gentle return. Even the trees shift their pace. Sap flow slows. Leaves have fallen. The canopy becomes a lattice of delicate branches, creating new patterns against the winter sky. Evergreens retain their needles, offering a steady, calming presence amid the bare trunks. Despite the cold, life continues. The forest breathes in winter, but its breath is quiet, deep, and slow. Each snowfall brings nourishment to the soil. Each ray of winter sun sustains the ever present balance. Winter is the forest's pause, a moment of deep reflection before the cycle begins again. As you imagine moving through these seasons, notice the softness of each transition. No season arrives abruptly. Spring warms into summer. Summer cools into autumn. Autumn dissolves into winter, and winter slowly awakens back into spring. The cycle continues like a long, gentle lullaby, guiding the forest and your mind into a state of natural calm. Each season shapes the forest in its own way. Together, they form a rhythmic tapestry that mirrors the cycles within your own life. Moments of growth, moments of fullness, moments of release, moments of rest. The forest teaches us that every phase has its purpose, and every transformation is part of a greater harmony. Let these rhythms settle into your thoughts. Let them slow your breathing. Let them remind you that change, even when constant, can be soothing, balanced, and deeply peaceful. Forests are often described as the lungs of the earth, but this metaphor captures only a small part of their true importance. Forests are not just collections of trees, they are ancient systems that sustain life through networks of air, water, soil, and countless living beings. Their work is quiet, their rhythms are slow, their contributions ripple across continents, oceans, and even the atmosphere itself. Tonight, we explore why forests matter so deeply and how their gentle presence supports life in ways both visible and invisible. To begin, imagine a forest not as a single environment, but as an interconnected living engine. Every tree, every fungus, every insect, every grain of soil contributes to processes that shape the planet. These processes do not feel mechanical. They unfold naturally, fluidly, and with the softness of something perfected over millions of years. One of the quietest yet most essential roles forests play is regulating the composition of the atmosphere. Through photosynthesis, trees absorb carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that warms the planet, and release oxygen. In doing so, they help maintain the delicate balance of gases that support life. This exchange happens leaf by leaf, hour by hour, year after year. Even when we do not see or feel it, forests are constantly adjusting the atmosphere, breathing in rhythm with the earth. Forests also act as vast carbon sinks, storing immense amounts of carbon in their trunks, branches, roots, and soil. Old growth forests, with centuries of accumulated biomass, hold especially large reservoirs of carbon. This storage helps stabilize global climate patterns, reducing the intensity of temperature swings and slowing the progression of climate change. It is a role forests perform silently, without effort, simply by growing, absorbing, and renewing. Another gentle service forests provide is in regulating water cycles. Forests capture rain with their leaves, soften the impact of storms, filter water through layers of soil, and release moisture back into the atmosphere. These processes feed rivers, stabilize lakes, and maintain groundwater reserves. The slow drip of water from leaves after rainfall, the absorption of moisture by humus, and the slow release of water by roots all contribute to a world where water moves predictably and gently. In tropical regions, forests generate their own rain. Moisture released from leaves rises, condenses, and returns as rainfall, often sustaining entire ecosystems. Without forests, many regions would become drier, hotter, and less able to support life. Their presence keeps climates moderate and landscapes hydrated. Forests also shape the temperature of their surroundings. Beneath the canopy, temperatures remain stable. Leaves filter sunlight, casting cool shade. Moisture in the air keeps humidity gentle. Soil retains more water. These factors combine to create microclimates, small pockets of tempered air where life thrives in comfort. For animals, these stable zones offer refuge from extreme heat and cold. For humans, walking into a forest on a warm day brings immediate relief, as though the forest itself is exhaling cool air upon your skin. Beyond climate and water, forests matter deeply because they house a vast portion of Earth's biodiversity. Birds, mammals, insects, fungi, reptiles, mosses, ferns, and an endless array of microorganisms depend on forests for shelter, food, and survival. Many species exist nowhere else on Earth. Forests are sanctuaries for life, complex, layered, and intricately woven. Some trees, ancient and towering, support entire ecosystems within their branches. Cavities in trunks house owls or squirrels. Bark patterns shelter insects. Roots cradle fungi. The forest is not merely a home, it is a world within a world, where each organism's survival quietly supports others. For humans, forests provide countless resources: timber, medicine, food, fiber, and clean water. But more importantly, forests offer something intangible: peace, restoration, and perspective. Simply being near trees lowers stress, slows the heart rate, and eases the mind. This effect is not imagined. Studies show that forest environments reduce cortisol levels, improve mood, and restore mental energy. This phenomenon, often called forest bathing, is deeply connected to the forest's sensory qualities: the filtered light, the soft sounds of leaves, the steady rhythm of distant wildlife, and the subtle scents released by trees. The forest creates an atmosphere that encourages calmness, reflection, and grounding, a place where the mind feels safe enough to slow down. Forests also carry quiet wisdom through time. Some trees stand for hundreds or thousands of years, witnessing changes in climate, wildlife, and human activity. Walking among ancient trees is like entering a timeline far older than civilization. Their presence reminds us that life is resilient, patient, and capable of enduring cycles of challenge and renewal. For indigenous cultures across the world, forests hold sacred meaning. They are places of knowledge, healing, and identity. Many traditional practices emphasize living in harmony with forests, taking from the land only what is needed and returning respect in exchange. These practices reflect an understanding that forests are not just resources, but living relatives. In modern times, forests continue to support humanity in countless ways. They protect soil from erosion, prevent landslides, and reduce flooding. They provide habitat for pollinators, which in turn support agriculture. They offer natural materials used in medicines, including treatments for cancer, infections, and autoimmune disorders. Their value extends far beyond their borders. Even the scent of forests carries hidden impacts. Compounds like apenine, limonene, and cedrol, released by trees such as pine, cedar, and spruce, have subtle relaxing effects on the human nervous system. When inhaled, these compounds help reduce anxiety and improve breathing. Their presence turns the forest into a natural inhalation therapy, a quiet healing space. Perhaps one of the most profound reasons forests matter is that they embody balance. They show us how life can flourish without excess, without haste, without waste. Trees grow slowly but steadily. Water moves gently but purposefully. Soil transforms materials gradually but effectively. Animals live in rhythms that harmonize with daylight and darkness, seasons and silence. In forests, there is no rushing, no competing for more than what is needed, no striving beyond what the ecosystem can support. Life here exists in equilibrium, a model of cooperation and patience. As you imagine this balance, feel how it mirrors a sense of inner calm. The forest teaches us that stability does not come from force, it comes from quiet persistence, from gentle cycles, from honoring connections. Forests also remind us that every small process matters. A leaf falling becomes food, a root growing stabilizes soil, a mushroom sprouting supports trees, a raindrop landing becomes nourishment. Each action is subtle, but together they sustain entire worlds. As we end this chapter, think of forests not as distant landscapes, but as living allies, quiet guardians of the planet's stability, beauty, and breath. Their importance is immense, yet their work is done softly, consistently, and with enduring grace. Let this awareness guide your thoughts toward rest. Let the forest's calmness settle inside you. Let its balance become your balance, its stillness become your stillness, and its gentle rhythms carry you into deeper comfort. As our quiet journey through the forest comes to an end, allow the calmness of everything you've heard tonight to settle gently around you like soft mist drifting between ancient trees. We've walked together through roots and canopies, through seasons and soils, through rhythms of growth, decay, renewal, and rest. Each part of the forest offered its own kind of peace, steady, patient, and quietly alive. You've explored how trees move slowly through time, how hidden networks beneath the soil support entire ecosystems, how animals follow calm rhythms through the night, and how forests shape air, water, and climate with effortless balance. These details aren't meant to be remembered, they're meant to be felt, like warm light filtering through leaves, or the gentle hush that settles under twilight branches. Let this final moment be a deep breath, a pause, a soft settling. Imagine the forest now growing still around you, the canopy darkening into night, the air cooling, carrying the scent of moss and earth, every sound growing quieter, softer, more distant, every creature settling into rest, and you too, becoming part of this peaceful landscape. You are safe here. You are held by the quiet. You are surrounded by balance and calm. Allow your thoughts to drift like fallen leaves carried by a slow breeze. Let your breath deepen. Let your body grow heavy. And if sleep comes now, let it come gently, the way the forest moves through seasons, unhurried and full of soft wisdom. Good night. May the forest guide you into deep and restful dreams.